Okay, we're going to show a quick example of using an API from Interzoid to identify inconsistently represented company names within a table in Snowflake that can cause all kinds of different problems. So just for this quick demo, we'll put 5 names into a table. And you can see Microsoft Corp and Microsoft a misspelling, Amazon, Amazon.com. You've likely experienced this within datasets where you've got unnormalized data or inconsistently represented company name data, and that can cause problems like fragmenting analytics, having data spread across multiple instances of an organization within a data set, making it difficult to do joins across tables because you've got inconsistent data, and all kinds of other types of scenarios. So we're going to quickly show how we can use an external API, in this case from Interzoid, to resolve this issue, at least to a significant extent. And it's simply going to consist of using Snowflake's main SQL interface, also known as Snowsight, to do a couple of things. First of all, we're gonna set up the environment so we can actually run this. In this simple example, we're going to use an account role to be able to run the demo and create the ability to access the third-party service. And so we're going to just create that simple database. We'll call it yourdb for now. And by the way, this script is available on our GitHub site that you can find by visiting interzoid.com, so you can quickly run this in your own environment or make the necessary changes to run it within your own Snowflake instance on your own tables. Okay, so we're simply going to use the database that we've created, and then of course the schema as well. And let me see here. Now we're going to go down and set up some things from a security perspective. The first thing we need to do is create a network rule that allows us to access the endpoint, which is at api.interzoid.com. And then we're also going to need to use an API key to access that API within the SQL query that we're going to create. And so this is where we do that. And before we run it off screen, I'll actually enter the API key. This is what enables you to access the API from Interzoid. You can register for a free trial key at interzoid.com. That link, of course, will be in the comments. And that simply gives access to the API that we'll need to be able to run the user-defined Python function that we're going to create below. Then once we've done that, we need to create a quick integration within Snowflake that simply says we can access that external integration and enable the authentication, the secret, which is the API key. This can be stored separately within Snowflake, so you don't need to have it in your code, but here we're just showing it for an example so you have all the information that you need. And then here we're going to use Python as our user-defined function language using Snowpark, the Snowflake technology that enables you to do that. And here's some simple Python code that calls the API based on a value that it gets in the table. We're going to sequentially move through the table one record at a time. And then for each one of those, we're going to take our license key and then the company name that we find in the table, along with which algorithm we're going to use. Interzoid provides several different matching algorithms. And so in this case, we're going to use one called model-v4-wide. And you can read about the different models that are available at the Interzoid website. But this is a pretty standard one to use. And here's what we're going to try. If the API is okay, we'll return the response. If not, we'll return an error message. And then, of course, once all that's set up to make this available to a developer who might want to use this, here's where we set up our permissions. So we need to grant usage on these different objects here in order to make this work. And then we're going to actually test and execute it. We're going to create the database that we need. And it's just going to have a company name column in that database. So just one column. And then we're going to insert some data here just to demonstrate. And then once that's done, we'll run it. We'll select the company name, which will in turn call the API, get the similarity key, and that will show us which records actually match. And the way the similarity key works is the Interzoid API will generate a canonical representation of many different permutations of a given company name. So for example, if you have IBM, International Business Periods, IBM Inc., I period, dot B period, dot M period, all these different ways that IBM will appear, they will actually generate the same similarity key. And then you use the similarity key as the basis of your match, whether you're identifying duplicate records, you're matching data from a third-party data set, or just doing joins across data sets. That's how you actually do it, using that similarity key to overcome the inconsistency and the data that's not normalized, enabling you to match it up. And you'll see that here when we actually run it. So before I run it here, I'm going to stop it for a second and insert the API key, which you won't be able to see. So hold on just a second. And that will appear in the code up here where it says secret string your API key. And I'll just insert that right there. Scroll back down. Okay, now that's been done. And our script is complete. You can see it here. So now what I need to do is run the entire script here in Snowsight. And I will do a run all. And that will actually start running the query. And that'll just take a few seconds to compile, build the query, and then run. And we can see here, if I bring this up, each one of those values that we created, it generated a similarity key. So you can see Amazon and Amazon.com created the same similarity key, so I could match by similarity key, cluster by similarity key, or if these were in different tables, they would match each other. Same with Microsoft Corp, and of course this misspelling of Microsoft. And of course you can create combination keys, as we do have the same or a similar API for individual names for people that work the same way. The algorithms are just different, of course. Street addresses as well. And then once these similarity keys are appended, in this case it's a simple table, you could create a new table that linked back to primary keys, append them to an existing table, whatever makes sense in your use case, and then you can begin matching, identifying unnormalized duplicate records, whatever makes sense for your case. And again, really easy to do within Snowflake. Simply click run and you're off.